It is the worst kept secret in Florida. Make that national politics that Ron DeSantis will be announcing a bid for the presidency expected in the next several weeks. And more of the telltale signs being dropped this week. And WPTV's Matt Cesney looks into all of that.
It won't be long now for Governor Ron DeSantis. His run for the White House now due to begin in mid-May, according to a new NBC News report, quoting GOP insiders, who basically say it's time to get into the race against Donald Trump.
I'm a strategic thinker when it comes to politics, and it's all in the timing.
Republican strategist Larry Casey says part of it has to do with some polls now showing Donald Trump leading and the calendar counting down.
I think DeSantis has moved up his timing to May from later on. He wants to show accomplishments in the legislature, that he's done things, point to them.
Some are calling those accomplishments DeSantis' culture war, new laws on LGBTQ and taking on Disney, and then, of course, his book tour. Democrats in Florida say once he runs, they'll see even less of the governor.
The governor isn't around. He's not addressing the issues that are important to Floridians. We have property insurance crisis. We had a flooding in Fort Lauderdale. We have an affordable housing crisis.
DeSantis recently has been abroad where he still downplayed the president question.
I'm not a candidate, so we'll see if and when that changes.
And yet, it seems likely that will change by next month.
You don't want to run against Trump the one person who can take the beating, I think, is DeSantis.
In West Palm Beach, Matt Cesney, WPTV, News Channel 5.
Here with Brian Crowley, as always, my friend, for not a candidate. He sure seems like a candidate. By the way, Lori Berman, Democratic state senator from our region, from Palm Beach County. Your thoughts?
Well, the very idea that a Florida governor would leave the state and
Well,
go around, leave the country in the last few weeks of a legislative session is by itself, amazing. Yeah, of course he's going to run for president unless somebody finally comes up to him and says, your poll numbers are so horrible, your strategy doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. But Ron DeSantis doesn't strike me as somebody who listens to people who tell him no. So we'll see, but I'm fairly certain, as everybody else is, he's going to run.
Size up Trump DeSantis, and let me quickly say there's others. Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, Asa Hutchinson, who am I missing? We're expecting Mike Pence, most likely to jump in the race, and others. So I don't want to miss names, and I don't think I've missed any just there. But the field will get bigger, but obviously Trump DeSantis will be the highlights. Size it up.
Yeah, they're the highlights for now, and as we've talked about, and as I've said before, Jeb Bush was the big highlight when he ran against Donald Trump and others in the primaries, and everybody thought that Jeb Bush with his big war chest and the Bush name and everything was a shoo-in. Well, it all ended with please clap, so that didn't last very long. Could the same thing happen to Ron DeSantis? Absolutely. He's going to have to take an abusive beating from Donald Trump throughout this campaign, and he's going to have a very thick skin in order to weather the storm with Donald Trump. And in fact, if Donald Trump begins to believe that Ron DeSantis is closing in on him, has a chance of getting ahead of him, he'll get even more vicious against Ron DeSantis. He'll need a suit of armor to run against Donald Trump.
Strengths for DeSantis, strengths for the former president, then we'll talk about weaknesses.
Well, probably the biggest strength for Donald Trump is his performance ability. He knows how to get the crowd ginned up. He knows the people who follow him love him no matter what he does. As he famously said himself, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and they would still support me. And in the years since he said that, that's largely proven to be true. In their view, Donald Trump can do no wrong.
What about DeSantis?
Ron DeSantis is seen only as the person who's not Trump, who does everything Trump does without the personality.
But he's hit all the culture war notes.
Sure, and they like that, and there's a fear among some Republicans that there's finally going to be exhaustion with Donald Trump, and that he can't win the general election. And Ron DeSantis keeps pointing out that he won Florida by 59% of the vote, which required a big number of independents and a big number of Democrats. Therefore, he says, I can win a general.
You've been talking and covering politics for many decades, Brian. Talk about your perception. You've been out there on the trail nationally a lot. Talk about biggest weaknesses observers are saying to you they perceive in DeSantis. Talk about the baggage for the former president. Of course, that would begin with all the other legal problems he faces. And what many say is a ceiling that only is going to go so high for the former president. Talk about all that from your viewpoint.
You know, when you go to Iowa, you go to New Hampshire, especially those two states, it's a living room election. They expect you to go to people's homes. They expect you to go to the popular restaurants and bars in Manchester. You know, it's old school retail politics. And, you know, Ron DeSantis is not real strong at old school retail politics. He's not a terribly friendly guy. You know, the 11 members of the Florida congressional delegation who have chosen not to endorse him,
Endorsing Trump instead,
have almost unanimously have said he doesn't return phone calls. He doesn't talk to fellow members of Congress when he was in Congress, that he was very, very aloof. And you hear that in Tallahassee as well. He's got this very, very close-knit circle and doesn't want outsiders, doesn't want people who tell him no, doesn't want people who disagree with him. You know, he might be able to weather all that, but it's a real contrast.
The X factor for the former president, among others, huge legal problems he faces right now and many more that could come his way.
Well, you know, we still have potential criminal investigations in Georgia and in New York over the election. A lot of people have worried more about Georgia than what's going on in New York. You know, we've got the rape allegation trial going on right now. You know, unless he gets convicted of a criminal offense and actually, you know, had to go to jail, I just don't see anything stopping him.
And can Biden expect success going against two people to have home field advantage, whether it would end up being Ron DeSantis, should that come to pass, or whether it ends up being Donald Trump? He throws his hat back in the ring for re-election. All paths to the White House seem to lead through Florida. Be a tough challenge for the president if he has to deal with either of those Floridians.
Well,
how does he navigate that and hope? What would be his recipe for success if he were to have it?
Well, if you'd like, you can jot this down, the day and the date that I said.
Okay.
Joe Biden is not going to win Florida.
Okay, I'm stunned. I'm falling out of my chair.
No Democrat is going to win Florida. We're very, very red. In fact, I think that the Democratic Party nationally will abandon the state
But if
and
you do
invest
that,
their
you're
time
sending
and their money in other states.
But aren't you sending a big signal? I talked to one analyst, said you do that though. You've just sent a giant flashing signal that we're not serious, because you need to be serious about Florida if you're serious about getting the keys to the White House or retaining them.
Well, you have to be more serious about other states that will make up for the 40 electoral votes you're not going to get in Florida. No Democrat's going to live Florida under the you know, the current political atmosphere that we have in this state.
I marked down the date and the time from our
and I never would have said that.
resident. I know, from our resident political sage. We'll come back with some closing thoughts from you. As always, your perspective so appreciated, and we'll be back with more in just a moment.